Niger, some 100,000 people have fled the violence and face a dangerous situation. Food aid began to arrive over the weekend. Algerian and Burkina Faso mediators are counting on getting various groups in Mali to sit down and talk to resolve the crisis that has cut the country in half. Following initial advances made in Ouagadougou, Algiers convinced the MNLA and Ansar Dine to participate in talks. A delegation from Ansar Dine is currently in Algeria. Negotiators hope to isolate the two radical Islamist groups, the Hakim and Moujao, two major players in the occupation in the north of Mali. Meetings are being held to evaluate the dysfunctioning of the court system in Niger. A recent poll shows that 1 person out of 2 in Niger does not trust the court system. Political pressure, corruption, lack of means and personnel are the main shortcomings. The government says that prisons are old and too small, and more than half of all prisoners are awaiting trial. An emergency number has been established to call in all attempts at corruption.
In Nigeria, the mother of a college student says her son's life ended in terror and violence after an angry mob mistook him for a robber, and he was one of 3 students who was killed. And this kind of vigilant justice is raising alarm among human rights groups. We have details in this report.
I don't want to remember that. I don't want to remember that. My son is gone and is gone.
The loss of a son, horrible in itself. And the way he died, horrific.
Chadeka.
Chinwe Baringa's son, Chiadika, was lynched. An incident captured on cell phone and posted to the web. Shot in October, it shows Chiadika and 3 classmates from the University of Port Harcourt, naked, bruised, and bloody. They look dazed and appear to be pleading for their lives as a crowd surrounds them, screaming, shouting, inching closer.
The way he was battered, with clubs, with knives, all his body from head to toe was filled with bruises.
The beatings continue until someone lights a match and sets one of them on fire. As he screams in agony, another tries to crawl over to where he is, as if to save him before he too is engulfed in flames.
That I saw their dead body in the ambulance, I collapsed.
What caused the mob to kill these young men may have been a simple misunderstanding. Chiadika's mother says one of the men was owed some money, and he asked his friends to help him collect the debt in the nearby village of Alu. Within minutes, word began to spread that Chiadika and his friends were thieves.
That guy now raised an alarm. Armed robbers, broad daylight. You will take off. Immediately you hear armed robbers. But they were like harmless, innocent kids.
You'd think that if a citizen caught an armed robber, the first call would be to the police. But this is Nigeria, where sometimes critics say the police can be more dangerous than any criminal.
The public maintains deep distrust of the police, who are seen as ineffective, corrupt, and at times complicit in crimes. The Nigerian police have failed to crack down on violent crime, especially in southern Nigeria, which in many cases communities have turned to mob justice or formed vigilante groups who carry out summary executions of criminal suspects.
It happened to this young man who was afraid to appear on camera.
When you came to visit a friend, the people here at the front gate thought that you were a thief.
Yes.
And what happened then?
They landed me, beat me anyhow. Use the heavy stick to be beating me. It doesn't look where he's beating me.
What was going through your mind? What were you thinking?
Yes, I was thinking that maybe he should not go and kill me. I went to hospital.
He escaped with his life, but barely.
There's no money for us because suddenly when the case happened like that, when we went to police station, we know that we will write statement. At the end of the day, we have to drop something for them.
And generally, if you are a victim of a crime, if you go to the police, you're asked to fund the criminal investigation. If you don't have the money to fund it and meet the incessant bribes of the police, the case is often dropped.
In 2010, Human Rights Watch released a report describing widespread corruption in Nigeria's police force and abuses against ordinary citizens. The Nigerian police deny these allegations. In a statement to CNN, they say there's no denying that the Nigerian police force is not perfect, nor are our critics like Human Rights Watch. But we are committed to improving our competency through training and retraining and to improve our service delivery. The police say they've arrested and charged 13 people in the case of the Yalu 4, and the incident has seemingly galvanized the public. There are petitions and calls to end the culture of extrajudicial killings that has persisted for so long and killed.
I want the world to know that they did not only kill my son, halfway they have killed me too.
But without the rule of law and a police force Nigerians can trust, this won't be the last time a mother loses a child to jungle justice. Vladimir Duthier, CNN, Lagos, Nigeria.
During his visit to Myanmar this month, President Barack Obama made a plea on behalf of the country's Rohingya minority. They are Muslims in the northwest of Myanmar who have suffered widespread discrimination, and many have been driven from their homes. CNN's Dan Rivers has been to the city of Sittwe to see firsthand what is happening to the Rohingyas, and he has this exclusive and disturbing report.
Meet Saulama Hafu. She's so malnourished, her skeleton is straining at the skin. She can't even summon the energy to swat the flies. And look at her arms. She looks like a 2-year-old, but she's 5. This is a man-made catastrophe in Myanmar, formerly Burma. Amid the lauded reforms towards democracy, there is a humanitarian scandal in this country's far west, Rakhine state. Saulama's family live in a refugee camp where the only food is rice. She's worried her firstborn will starve to death, but she's nowhere else to go. They are part of a Muslim minority called Rohingyas, and they fled here because of this. Ethnic cleansing. Rohingya villages torched, the terrified residents blaming Buddhist extremists.
Yeah, it was organized, especially organized. Systematically they did it. They had committed the program. They want to make genocide Rohingya. Genocide Rohingya. That is why they did it.
Those who haven't fled to the camps feel like they're living under siege. In Sittwe, the Rohingya community is living in terror behind fences.
This is the last Muslim quarter in Sittwe, and effectively it is a modern-day ghetto. The people here are trapped, they can't get out, and limited food supplies and medicine are coming in. And what happened right here is what everyone is worried about. Last June, an angry Buddhist mob turned up and torched 20 houses, and people here are worried the mob is going to come back.
The Rohingya are stateless, not recognized as citizens by Myanmar, yet there are about 1 million of them. They say their families have been here for generations. Already the number of dead is thought to be in the hundreds, and the United Nations says more than 100,000 have been driven from their homes. Buddhist nationalists here are unrepentant. I meet a local politician who shows me photos of his followers injured in the clashes. He views all Muslims as foreigners who must be kicked out.
They have no right to be citizens. They come from Bangladesh and they live here. They want to have this land. We never organize to fight, to use force. We are a party, legal party. We love peace.
But a few miles away, a series of vast refugee camps. Rohingyas are arriving here every day, driven out of their homes, they say, by arson, murder and rape. Conditions are appalling. In this cowshed, a thin layer of straw is all that separates these kids from the animal and human excrement below. And they are fast becoming ill. Aid workers are thin on the ground. These foreign doctors can't show their faces because they couldn't get permission to work here and are worried they'll be thrown out.
We've had one 5-year-old die, just brought into the clinic as she died, which was incredibly sad, and we can do what we can, but and we know that we are helping and saving some lives, but there are just so many more that need to be helped.
Saulama Hafu is just one of tens of thousands of children here. She got to see a doctor, but how many others here will die? Dan Rivers, CNN, Sittwe, Myanmar.
And before we go, a reminder of our headlines. Scores of youth volunteers from Banjul, Kanifi Municipality and West Coast